Honourable Member for Calgary Foothills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to ask the Minister responsible for climate change if she knows a gentleman called Mr. Dan Wonilovich. If you know him and if she met him during her recent visit to Vancouver. His name spells Woynillowij. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Just a second. In order, please. Is this in order? Honourable Member, I'm not sure exactly where your question was going. Is it intended to address the government policy question rather than just the name of an individual that a member may or may not know?
Please, Mr. Speaker, can you reset the time? I'll ask it again.
I'm not sure I will, no. Would you keep going?
Okay, my question is to the Minister of Climate Change. A few weeks ago, she met a gentleman called Dan Wilovich in Vancouver. My question is if she talked about...
Thank you, Honourable Member. You get two more supplementals. You get an opportunity. Minister, anybody?
Well, that extended question and answer period led me to go through my mental Rolodex. I do believe that I have met such an individual in my life. I meet a lot of people, Mr. Speaker, and certainly I met a lot of people at Globe in Vancouver, and it was a very productive time in terms of discussions with the Vancouver business community and clean tech sector and others.
First supplemental, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will address her mental remembrance by submitting the evidence from her own Twitter account. But my question is whether the minister knows that Mr. Woynillowich was involved in an infamous 2008 Rockefeller Brothers Foundation project between wealthy U.S. foundations and Canadian activists to landlock Canada's oil sands.
Member, I'm going to let you go. Please be seated if I ask. I listened to the question, and I'm trying to ask if you have a question related to government policy rather than the... rather than a name association process. So if one of the ministers would like to respond to the question, please proceed. But I don't think, honourable members, that this is, again, I remind you, it's addressing government policy that the issue is, rather than name association. Honourable member? Point of order noted.
Okay. So we're truly through the looking glass now, Mr. Speaker. Okay, I meet a lot of people in the run of a day, Mr. Speaker. There are a lot of Canadians out there, and I have met many of them. I don't know where we're going with this, but it sounds like we're heading down the road of a ridiculous drive-by smear for an individual, and I'm just not going to dignify it.
Honourable member, I will
Mr.
give you one
Speaker.
last opportunity to focus on policy, if you could.
Mr. Speaker, given the government House Leader's defense of the issues surrounding the minister's meeting with the mayor of Rocky Mountain House, this would count as a meeting, whether she remembers mentally or not. Given the NDP's disastrous appointment of Karen Mahon and Jafara Berman, and given her close association with Greenpeace, does the minister feel it is appropriate to meet with the individuals that have conspired to sabotage our energy sector?
Thank you, honourable member. The Minister of Environment and Parks.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that we are talking about a number of folks that I ran into and talked to at the Globe Sustainable Business Forum, including the Vancouver Board of Trade, Mr. Speaker, including the Vancouver Chamber of BC Chamber of Commerce, including the number of other individuals in the business community. Met with a number of companies as well, went to a women's luncheon. Perhaps that is objectionable to the honourable member. I met a lot of folks at Globe, Mr. Speaker. I'm not going to apologise for that.
Thank you.